Hi, my name is James, and this is James Loves Games, and today I want to answer the question, should Elden Ring, and From Software's Souls-like games in general, have an easy mode? And the answer is really quite simple. No! 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 Now, it seems like every time a new From Software game comes out, there becomes this frenzy of journalism that comes out where you have a lot of people that are working in the industry, specifically game reviewers, complaining about the high difficulty of these games. Naturally, it's in their interest to have the game be easier so that they can finish the game more quickly and write their review on time before deadline. As for the rest of us normal people, no, it absolutely should not have an easy mode, and it shouldn't have an easy mode for the journalists either. The reasons for this are multiple and varied, and I will go through them with you right now. Number one is expectations. This series of games have become popular over the years because of their high difficulty. It's that sense of accomplishment that comes with beating a particularly difficult part that people really enjoy about these games, and it's overcoming these challenges that has made them so popular. And it would really be doing a disservice to the core fans of these series of games. They got here because the games are difficult. They're popular because the games are difficult. And actually, it kind of reminds me of playing games back in the NES days. Games were just all really difficult, and they didn't have easy modes or hard modes. It was just, if you wanted to beat the game, you just had to get better at it. I remember games like Ninja Gaiden and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game were just mercilessly difficult. It came with this sense of accomplishment, and I feel like these games tap into that kind of desire, whereas today games have so many varying difficulty modes ranging from easy, normal, hard, super hard, nightmare, impossible difficulty, whatever. The accomplishment sort of gets lost somewhere in this fog of varying difficulties. And so I think that From Software has done a good thing for the gaming industry and for gamers in general by making these games as difficult as they are, because it's created this sort of subculture within the subculture of trying to beat these super difficult games and being able to brag about it in the process. Number two, I want to address the issue of accessibility. I know a lot of people that complain about the difficulty of these games aren't just journalists, but people who want games to be more accessible. I have to look at the definition of this word at face value and see it as being able to play a game, having the ability to play a game, not necessarily being able to beat a game. And don't get me wrong, I think accessibility in gaming is very important, and I thoroughly encourage developers to put more accessibility options in their games. But by accessibility options, I mean things that help people be able to play the game, such as color blindness options, captions for the hearing impaired, customizable button mapping, etc., etc. I mean, there are just all kinds of new ways that developers are coming up with to make games more available to a wider audience of people. But again, accessibility is not the same thing as being able to beat a game. Not everybody is able to beat a game, and that's fine. I think that having the opportunity to play the game is the real crux of accessibility. And again, I encourage developers to take steps to make games more accessible to more people. But I don't think that developers should be coddling people and making games easier on purpose. And I should also note that I don't think that all games should have no easy mode. This video is specifically about Elden Ring and future From Software titles. Most games are very story-based, and one good example that I look at is Ghost of Tsushima. This was such a great narrative that you want to continue with the game in order to learn more about the characters and see more of the story. And so it's important to be able to reach certain thresholds within the game to be able to see story parts and learn more about these characters. It's the whole point of the game. Whereas From Software's titles aren't so story focused. There is a very deep lore ingrained within all of these games, but it's very fractured and scattered throughout the land and isn't really given to you straightforwardly. It's not like you have to beat a boss to learn about what happens next in the story. it's sort of like everything's already happened and you're piecing everything together through the subtext and through conversations you have here and there, through flavor text in item descriptions and things like that. And so you're kind of having to piece it together yourself in From Software's games. And so I feel like a game like Ghost of Tsushima should have lots of different difficulty options so that people that just want to experience the story can do that. But with From Software's games, there's a whole cottage industry on YouTube of videos explaining what these games even mean and what they're about. You know, Vati Vidya's got a great video series on just explaining the lore of Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring. And I think it's great that they've made it sort of cryptic, and it takes away the necessity of completing parts of the game to learn more about the story, because let's face it, you're not going to learn anything about the story whether you beat the bosses or not. Number 3, the feeling of beating a particularly difficult boss in one of these games is unparalleled. Now, I've been playing games for well over 30 years, and I've beaten a lot of bosses. And I gotta say, the feeling that I've gotten from beating bosses in Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Sekiro has just been incredible. It's unlike a feeling I've ever felt before. And I actually have a thing I do whenever I beat a boss. My hands are always shaking. I do Souls hands whenever I beat a boss on a stream. And, you know, my heart's pounding, my hands are shaking, and I'm just sweaty. It's like a full cardio workout. And it's just an amazing feeling to finally take down that difficult boss. And it wouldn't really be possible if I had the option to lower the difficulty. It would lessen the experience. It would dilute it. And I really don't want that for anybody, because I like that there's this community of players in the Souls community where we have this shared experience, and it's the same experience for all of us. It's not, well, I beat it on difficult, you beat it on easy mode, so we're not the same. No, we've all beat the game or beat these bosses on the same difficulty level, and so we all have shared that exact same feeling. And it's a great way for the community to come together and have this thing in common. And don't get me wrong, it's frustrating, but it's through that struggle where you cultivate that feeling of accomplishment once you finally do overcome that hurdle. This leads me to my 4th point. Multiple difficulties would deprive players of the game's benchmark. And what I mean by this is, when you have just one difficulty within a game, if you say that you've beaten the game, other people understand what that means. They understand how difficult that is precisely. If I say, yes, I've beaten Sekiro, and I actually just beat Sekiro a couple of weeks ago. If I say I've beaten Sekiro, that resonates with people who have also done it, or people who have played it, and they realize that level of difficulty is going to be the same for all of us. And so you understand, to beat a game like that really takes commitment. And it's a big accomplishment, I gotta say. Pat myself on the back, but it's a great feeling. And I feel like I really did accomplish something, unlike a lot of other games. I also beat Ghost of Tsushima, but I don't feel like it was this great accomplishment. I beat it and really enjoyed the story, and that game was just amazing in so many ways. But beating Sekiro is a different kind of achievement of its own because of its high difficulty. And I think when you create all these different difficulty levels, it does dilute it a little bit, and it doesn't mean so much. A good example is, I'm currently, for the past several months, been playing through the Valkyries on God of War. And the question that I always get when I make one of those Valkyrie videos is, what difficulty are you playing on? Because people want to know where they stand in comparison to me as far as being able to do this. And I tell them I'm playing through the game on normal, like I play through most games. And, you know, I get a lot of people say, oh, well, you have to beat it on this is God of War mode, or else you're not really playing the real God of War, or you're playing it on easy mode or whatever. And so it kind of creates this sort of hierarchy of gamer skill where it's like, oh, you beat it on easy? Okay, well, then you didn't really beat it. Whereas, you know, with Souls games, there's none of that. I mean, you could say, well, I beat it on New Game Plus 7 or something like that if you're a maniac. But honestly, from the people that I've talked to and interacted with in the Souls community, I mean, beating one of these games is a great accomplishment. And I have respect as a gamer for anybody who's put in the commitment to do it, because I know exactly what kind of effort is required to do it. Finally, My last point that I would like to make, and I think it's kind of the most compelling argument against having an easy mode, is that these games already have an easy mode. With the exception of Sekiro, all of these From Software titles, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, have co-op modes. You have the ability to summon other players, whether strangers or you can summon your actual friends, people that you know, with a password system. You can summon spirits to help you in battle. You can swap out your weapons, you can put on different armor, you can try different strategies. There are all sorts of things available to you to make the game a little bit easier. You can ask for help. You can bring in other people to play with you. And to me, that is easy mode in Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Elden Ring. And I'm sure there are some people out there that will say, oh, they're just gonna go solo through Elden Ring. They don't want to summon anybody's help because they don't want to make it too easy. And, you know, I kind of understand that sentiment, but to me, it's like, that's part of the game, is jolly cooperation, summoning friends to help you in battle. And I just think that with something like that you can avail yourself of pretty much from the get-go, with very little cost to your player within the game, it seems like that is the easy mode. So if you want easy mode, just summon your friends to come in and help you. What are your thoughts on having an easy mode in Elden Ring and other future From Software titles? Obviously, this is where I stand. I am against the easy mode or anything like that, and I know that they're not putting any easy mode in the games anytime soon, but it's still nice to have the conversation. I want to know what you guys think. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time right here on Game